honeysuckle soup on a hot summer day. Coffee comes back in a nerve-wracking way. The dishes and laundry take the garbage out. What a day, what a day, what a day.
Well, welcome to Capital Region Today. I'm so happy you're joining us today. We have a great lineup. If you watched our last show, we started out with Count Dracula. But just to give you a reminder that if you're interested in doing a little bit with Halloween, the Armory Studios New York, down right across from the college, is still having their wonderful Halloween events going on. They have the Castle of Terror, and they also have the Hallowed, well, it's all the pumpkins for the little kids, and their Officers Club is open with lots of entertainment, so there's a lot going on. And I believe the Monet exhibit is also up, so I just wanted to mention that at the start of the show. We're going to be starting out with our guests today, and our first guest is going to be Doc Horton, and he's got a new single that he's going to be playing for us, singing for us. We're also going to be talking to the Octavo Singers. They are a fabulous group, and they love to sing their hearts out for you, and this is no exception. Their event coming up, and we have the artistic director and the president with us as well. Then Story Circle will be coming on the show, and of course, a wordplay is always a great event to go to and learn about stories on some kind of a topic, and this time it's no exception, and we'll be learning about that as well. And I'm sure Kate will give us a story as well, as she usually does. And then we're going to be talking about Jajja's Kids, and this is a program that is in Uganda for the street children. And we'll find out about how you can support them or what you can learn about them. They're passionate about trying to help, and so we'll learn about that as well. So let's start out with our first guest. We have Doc Horton. Actually, he's Derrick Hayward Horton, PhD, right?
Yes, Hayward Derrick Horton, PhD.
Yes, and he's a professor, but you know what? He professes a lot of other things, and one of them is music.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me back on the show.
You're always welcome.
Great. Always great to be here.
I know.
Always great to be here. We have so much fun.
I know.
Usually I have my band, but this time I'm here alone.
I know you are. Yeah, your band is always good. It's a changing band too, right?
Yes, it is a changing band, but we're so excited. We're doing some great things with the
You're
band
going to
as
be
well.
appearing at Proctors, aren't you?
Right, October
When is that?
22nd,
Yeah.
Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Yeah.
It's going to be our Motown and More experience.
Yeah.
And it's for all ages. We're raising money for More Music, Less Violence. It's a nonprofit focused on the youth.
Yeah.
And I tell you, it is so exciting.
So how's your band now? Because you've changed a little bit. You got to keep the same drummer, right?
Actually, my drummer has changed as
Oh,
well.
really?
But that's the nature of the music business. You know, people move on and get different tastes and all that type of thing. But the bottom line is the pop soul is still there. The pop funk is still there. And we're excited, very excited.
And I know that you do write a lot of your own music as well.
I write all my own music.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, of course, the Motown stuff, that was stuff I was raised on, okay?
Yeah.
But my own songs, oh yeah, I write all of those.
Yeah, you wrote, I think you told me you wrote one when you were like 17 or 18.
Absolutely, I did. And but the song that I'm going to sing today, I actually wrote when I was a senior at Norfolk State University in my freshman year in the fall of '77. I graduated in '78, and I had it there on the shelf. And I performed it 2 years ago here a cappella. And I decided to find me a producer at the national level. I found a producer originally from Las Vegas, down in the Virginia Beach area. This guy has platinum and gold plaques, and nationally known. His name is Rothstein Beats.
Okay.
And he modernized my sound. I'm so excited.
When you say you modernize your sound, what does that mean?
Basically what that means is, I had my own lyrics and I had my and melody, but what he did, he provided a modern beat to it.
Oh, so that didn't change your music.
Oh no, it enhanced it.
Okay.
And
you were surprised, I can tell.
I'm telling you, I knew it was going to be good, but he was able to get the mood of reality. So reality, in a very real sense, when I wrote reality, you know, I was raised on Motown. Now, it's interesting. It has a very similar message to What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. I wasn't thinking about Marvin when I wrote it.
I love Marvin Gaye,
but
yeah.
I was thinking like Marvin. I was thinking about how in the world, this is back in '77, how in the world we don't treat each other right. We don't treat each other with the same type of caring and love. And so many people, we'll be talking about people who are homeless, people who are disadvantaged, and you can even be rich. And yet, if in fact there's nobody cares about you, you're poor on the inside.
Yeah, I know.
And so we have this hopelessness, so much hopelessness. And that's what I was writing about there. Yet, these words still resonate today.
Now the title is Reality.
Reality.
And tell me, what made you wrote this a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
What caused you to write such a passionate feeling at that time?
Well, I was looking at the world, looking out what was going on.
Looking at Kent State.
That was past Kent State.
Yeah.
But we had a situation a few years before where we had a president who had to resign because of
that was Nixon,
supposedly Nixon, and yet some of the same remarks. Yes, and yet I make reference to that. Yet it kind of fits today. And so the point that we're at, but when you start talking about people who are unemployed, people who don't have love in their life, people who just feel like, what is normal? You know, they have no normal. And oftentimes these are people. These don't necessarily have to be people that are on Skid Row. Sometimes it can be people who look like you and me, but you don't know what a person's going on.
You don't know what they're going
on
through.
the inside.
Yeah.
And
it
so,
could be pretty lousy.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. And we see so many people all across the socioeconomic spectrum actually committing suicide. Mm-hmm. And I'm a sociologist. I know part of the reason that primary reason people commit suicide because they don't have meaningful attachments. And so
that's important.
Oh, it's very important.
We have casual attachments, but sometimes they aren't quite as meaningful as they should be.
That is so true. That is so true. And we basically are a very materialistic society. We're way back in '77 we still are. And we care more about materialism than people. And that's what this song is about. This song is a call. As I say, it's a call to everybody to care about everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what this song is about.
We've gotten very materialistic and self-absorbed with, even if you look at, I always go back to cell phones. I see kids walking down the street like this and there could be a beautiful rainbow around them or a unicorn standing next to them and they wouldn't have seen it.
I've seen kids and families sit right beside each other instead of communicating. They would just tell, yeah.
How does that happen?
I don't know. Maybe moms and dads need to take the phones away.
Yeah,
and have some family time.
I love that. I really do. I had heard a long time ago that there was a group of people would go out and everybody had to put their phones on the table. The first one that rings means they have to pay for all the dinners.
Oh!
I bet those phones are off. But let's talk about your song, and then you're going to sing it. Now it's called Reality,
yes.
And it is a single.
It is a
How
single.
is it available?
It's going to be available. It will be released on October 20th. It will be available on all platforms, whether you're talking about Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music.
Everywhere.
Oh yes, everywhere.
Okay.
And soon I actually will have a Doc Horton app, and so people can actually download the Doc Horton app.
Okay.
Directly to their phones. And
You're really getting sophisticated, buddy.
well, thank you. so they can get the song directly from there, and they can keep up with me and my band. We'll have newsletters. There'll be chance for fans to chat with each other.
Oh, I love that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're going to set this up, right?
All right,
because you
yeah.
got to set up your phone and stuff.
Well,
while
I have to
he's
press the
chatting.
button.
What he's going to do is downloading some music, and he's going to play the music on one microphone and sing with the microphone over his head. So let you do it.
Let's see. Whoa, whoa, whoa. and penniless. No one seems to care. Love is lost and friendlessness everywhere. Put the money on the counter, mister. Get out of my place. I am not the least concerned about your face. Oh, reality, such a cold and bitter pill. Society doesn't like the road I feel. Oh, reality, such a cold and bitter pill. No one seems to care if my heart is still. Depression and uncertainty seem to be the norm. Stifle creativity, my mind is torn. Baby brown, I love Prince, superstar. It really makes no difference who you are. Oh, reality, such a and bitter pill. Society doesn't like the road I feel. Oh, reality, such a cold and bitter pill. Such a cold pill. No one seems to care if my heart is still. Reality, such a cold and bitter pill. Society doesn't like the road I feel. Oh, reality, such a cold and bitter pill. Whoa. No one seems to care if my heart is still. Reality is choking me. I just want to be free. Cold is getting next to me. Got to find my destiny. Ooh, ooh, it's so cold, it's so cold, it's so cold, it's so cold. I got to find, I got to find, I got to find.
Amazing for a young person to write that, and that you were young at that time.
Thank you. Thank you. I think
Were you the backup singer on that? Who was the backup singer?
I did all of my backup singing as well.
Because I'm listening and I'm saying, that sounds like Doc.
What today in modern times, a lot of times, particularly as a solo artist, they do something called stacking, That means where you actually overdub yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's phenomenal. And in fact,
So you did that where, in his studio?
down in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
And we worked on this for a year and a half.
Wow.
Until we got it like we wanted it.
Yeah.
And we're very happy with it. We think that we're going to do some great things, not only nationally, but internationally with this song.
So it's good.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
Ron.
you so
it's
much.
always good to see you.
It's always good.
Oh,
yeah.
I love this guy. Okay,
Hey,
thank
this
you.
is one of my good friends.
Good. Love you too, honey. Okay. We're going to, thanks a bunch, and I wish you great success with all of that.
Thank you.
I'm going to switch over to another music venue.
Yeah.
And are you going to sing for us today?
We could.
I'm sure you could, yes. We're talking about the Octavo Singers, and actually my floor director is part of the Octavo Singers as well.
That's right.
Jan. But tell us about what's coming up, because I know that you, Diane is the president, and
Right.
of course, Andrew, you're the artistic director.
That's right.
Yeah, so tell us what's coming up with this new production that you're having.
Well, we have a fall concert coming up. You may remember last year we sort of restarted everything with going right into Messiah in December. We started
shut down kind of for a while because everything
Right.
got shut
Right.
down.
right, and so we started rehearsals like in October last year, and did a real serious sort of tune-up check-in season with Messiah, and then had our spring concert as usual. This year, we're going back to sort of our standard format of a season, which is having a fall concert, then our annual Messiah, and then another spring concert. And so on November 4th, at First Reformed in the Schenectady Stockade.
Great location.
Fabulous
Yeah,
location.
yeah.
We are doing a concert of American choral music.
Okay. And what is American choral music? Is
So,
that, I mean,
That can mean a number of things. For us, the concert we are titling "Down to the River," Celebration of American Choral Heritage, and what that means is celebrating not only the long history of American composers, going all the way as far back as some of the earliest composers, including William Billings, which is late 1700s.
you don't think American? Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. So this is some of the earliest music, all the way up through the 19th and 20th century. Some more standard names like Aaron Copland, Samuel Barber, all the way up to living contemporary composer John Carigliano.
Okay.
And this survey of American composers is sort of built, is pieced together to celebrate not only the composers and their compositions, but the idea of American choral music, American choral singing itself.
Do they write specifically for choral? I'm ignorant, so
Yeah.
please, bear with me.
So these are.
I mean, I think, do they write a song and say, there it is? Or do you actually write the parts for all the, I mean, how does that go? Like, when you write for an orchestra, you're writing all the parts,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. It's similar. These are pieces written for chorus. There's actually one exception on the program, and that's the Barber Agnus Dei was originally written as the Barber Adagio for strings. Very famous, beautiful piece, which he himself later reworked for voices. And in fact, the way we're doing it is with organ, strings, and voices. This very beautiful orchestration that he put together himself.
Wow, yeah.
There's a lot that goes into choral composing. I mean,
Well,
it doesn't matter if
It's got to be
it's
the same like an orchestra, really.
exactly. It really doesn't matter if it's American or not. But these are compositions that these composers wrote for chorus, or in most cases on our program for chorus and orchestra. We'll have a chamber orchestra with us.
You're going to have an orchestra.
And
yeah.
and our fabulous accompanist Trevor will also be playing
Oh, good.
sort of double duty plus in piano and organ. Should make for a wonderful sound.
Yeah, and especially in that venue. So Diane, how does this all come about? You're the president, so how
Yes.
do you pull this all together?
Well, we rely on Andrew to put together a program to start and to put together an
that's
orchestra.
essential.
And then we do all the business of encouraging members and gathering members. I do have to say, we were pleased beyond belief with what happened last season. I mean, we were just about up to speed within 2 weeks of our start.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and even
You
more
even
so.
changed your group a little bit, didn't you? I mean, you lost some members and had to get some new.
Well, some members thought, it was time to move on and do other things, and we've gotten a lot of new members, a lot of new interest, and I think that we are about at 85 people now, which
Oh, that's
is
a large-
really
yeah.
the most we've ever been for a concert like this, I think,
For-
in a long time.
I didn't even know it got that large. I thought
Well-
it was around 60. I don't know where I got that from.
So-
Just
She's talking about for like a non-Messiah or
Right.
sort of large oratorio concert. For last year's Messiah, we had over 100.
okay.
Yeah.
And so for our sort of other programs, 85 is very strong, and
Yes.
we're very happy with the turnout, because not only, as she said, do we have quite a few new members, but we also still have people who are only just returning this year to singing with us.
This
is
Such
true.
a big group. There's a lot of personal feeling involved, and well, do I feel comfortable singing next to other people after COVID and everything? So we're very happy to welcome so many back, even this year compared to last year.
And we are so excited to be singing this music. It's a little bit different from the kind of thing we've done.
I would say it's very different.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Playing with music?
This repertoire for this
Oh, I
concert.
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Octavo Singers is traditionally
Acapella.
a oratorio
Yeah,
chorus.
yeah.
So, steeped in many years of not only Messiah, but doing things like Mendelssohn Elijah, which we are doing in the spring, and these other large form pieces where that's the only thing on the program. But this concert is particularly special because it really does serve a very wide variety of music.
Yeah.
There is some a cappella folk songs on the program. There are, as I said with the billing, some very old early American church music, and then this composition by Corigliano, Fern Hill, is fast becoming the group's favorite piece,
Oh,
I
that's
think, on the
nice.
program.
Yes.
Very, very powerful piece with poetry by Dylan Thomas, and just really transformed into this sort of American pastoral piece. There's really very few contemporary composers, I feel, that are writing in this style that really do carry the sort of American ethos in their compositions, like this one has.
Yeah, and there's such, you say choral music, people think maybe one kind of sound that they're used to. Just in terms of sonority, there are so many different sound feels in these pieces. Everything from thinking you might be in medieval times to the Fern Hill, very, very modern harmonies, but still very listenable, very singable. The Dylan Thomas's poem will make you cry right there, before you start with the music, and then just some good old down-home stuff. It is really a lot of fun to put together, and we
You've got
think
a
people will
variety.
really
It sounds
enjoy
like
it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You've pulled a variety of this.
Yeah.
It certainly is, yes.
And when is this going to be? When are you performing this?
So this is November 4th.
Okay.
This is at 3
Coming
p.m.
up, yeah.
And tickets will be available at the door or online on our website. And then as soon as that feels like it's coming up, we turn right around. I told the chorus one day in a recent rehearsal, I said, I hope you all realize you have one day off after the concert before Messiah rehearsals start. Because December does
all right.
come quick.
Now, you do the Messiah every year.
Yeah.
Okay. How much much rehearsal do you really need?
So last year was sort of a gift because we had a full 2 months. And this year and sort of going forward, we're trying to brush it off in about 1 month.
Yep.
4 rehearsals, give or take. And I think the vast majority of our singers feel that should be more than enough.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, so you do it every year. I mean, you sing the same part every year. What,
Right.
I mean,
Well-
I'm just, I mean, I don't know any, I've never,
Well, part of
I
our-
never sang in a choral group, so I
Yeah.
have no idea.
Well, part of our mission is, our mission statement is to bring the joy of choral music in the classical tradition to audiences and members alike. And members alike, truly, we like to use this as an entree to invite people to figure out how much fun this is. And people tend to know Messiah, they know the Hallelujah chorus maybe, so they show up and they find out there's a lot more. So this amount of
everybody knows that
time,
one part, but it is an entire,
It's 5 minutes of about 2 hours.
Yeah.
this amount of time allows Andrew here to take these newbies and get them into a point where they actually feel comfortable standing up and doing this.
That's right.
That's
So not only is it good review for longtime members, but we really do use the time to get people.
initiate, little initiation.
That's
Yes.
right, who have either never been there or maybe only sung bits and pieces of it.
Yep, and
up
then
to
many
speed.
just stay.
That's right. That's right.
That's what I was wondering. Now, I'm not a singer, but suppose I wanted to join you.
Yeah.
How would I do that?
It's,
You don't want me, believe me.
Well, you go to www.octavosingers.org, and there is a menu there which says join, and it tells you exactly how to go about doing it. Our first rehearsal for Messiah is on November 6th. We rehearse at Zion Lutheran Church, and we rehearse from 7 to 9.
Okay, and do they have to be experienced, or do they just want to sing, or should they have something under their belt?
So it's a community chorus of a very wide ability level. We do ask that you have experience reading music. I think that's the bare
gee,
minimum.
What an idea.
What an idea. But you would be surprised. I mean, a lot of even church choirs learn a lot of their hymns and music and
Without
everything
never-
by rote. And
Yeah.
so if you have
I heard it
experience
once, so I can sing it. Yeah.
reading music and maybe you sung in high school and college or you sing in a church choir, certainly we do hope you have some choral experience. But we take, as I said, a very wide variety of ability level, and honestly are happy to. The past couple of rehearsals, even with this program, the music has been coming along so well that we've sort of been shifting into a lot of very meaningful discussions about not only the music itself and music reading and literacy, but how this music makes us feel. Which is something that is certainly a gift to conductors, that this music is coming along very well. We still have 3-4 weeks of rehearsals. Let's really get into the message.
Yeah.
So it's been
There's
going
more
very
to it
well.
than just the melody. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And it's nice because usually the fall is the rush,
Yeah.
to get things ready because
So,
people are coming off.
We know when it is, the 4th of November, I believe you said. Is there a charge?
For tickets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and they get those tickets online, or can they get them at the door?
Or at the door.
Both.
You'll take them.
Yep.
We'll take them. And they're in a church, so they're going to be sitting in pews and stuff.
Yes, the First Reformed Church.
But
which-
the acoustics is wonderful.
Fabulous. And I happily point this out. A lot of this music is, the tunes at least, are nearly as old as that church and the
Exactly.
stockade. It's going to be very
Exactly.
historically informed, and everybody's really enjoying it.
Stockade is a great setting for this.
It is, it is. Thank you both for being here.
Thank
and
you
for-
so
for
much.
Thank
bringing
you.
joy to our lives with music and allowing people to express themselves through music.
Certainly. Always happy to be here.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Thank you both, yeah. We're going to talk about storytelling now. Hey, hi, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you're doing, well, I know you're doing Tellebration, but that's
Right.
coming up in November. But right now you do word plays, and I love the idea of word plays because you pick a theme and then your storytellers each come up And they tell a story based on the theme. What is the theme of this time?
The theme is perplexing problems.
Perplexing problems. What does that mean?
Well, you have a problem and it's not easy to solve,
Okay.
and you have to work at it.
Okay, so it is perplexing.
Yes, yes.
And so how many storytellers we have?
We have 7 storytellers sharing 8 stories
Okay.
that not enough people came up with a story to fit this particular theme. But Margaret French,
She thought of 2.
yes, some people give me a choice because we want a mix of stories. We don't want them all personal. We don't want them all tall tales. We don't, we want a mixture because some people.
That's what makes it
Right.
entertaining.
Right, and we also like to include folk tales, which are the really old stories that the only reason they exist is because each generation told them to the next because they thought they were so important. And they did that for centuries before printed books were available.
That was the oral history.
Yes, yes, and those.
And sometimes those stories got changed a little bit as they.
Well, yes, but times changed. So, for instance, the story of Jack and the Giant Killer. In the English version, he steals a singing harp.
Oh, yeah. That's
Okay,
good.
but when English settlers settled in Appalachia and were living in the holler and they were dirt poor, what good is a singing harp? In their version of the story, it's an axe that never goes dull.
Which makes sense for them.
Yes, exactly. So stories migrate with travelers, with merchants, and they take on a different flavor.
Make them relevant to the time.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Today it would be an iPhone that never needs
Charging.
worth its weight in gold.
Absolutely.
Huh? No.
Well, we should work on that.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make $1 or $2.
Right.
So those are so those stories that come down.
Yes.
Are those?
The folk tales are. I'll be telling one, an Adirondack folk tale that probably. It's set in a lumber camp, but it was probably set in a fishing camp in Norway.
Could have been anything.
Could be have any different. Just the way Shakespearean plays are set, the different costumings to give you a different.
Would they do Hamlet in a different, in
Right.
modern time,
Right.
or Romeo and Juliet?
Or in the World War II, you
Yeah.
could set it, or post. I saw.
I think they did that in Hamlet. Apocalypse.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Post-apocalypse Macbeth.
Yeah.
And so their costumes were, a sleeve from this dress and a bodice and part
Yeah.
of a skirt and to give the.
I love that when they did it
post-apocalypse.
because it gets creative and it makes things kind of more interesting
Yes.
in a way to
Yes.
do that as well. So when is this?
This is Sunday, October 29th at 2 p.m.
Okay.
In the Delac Room.
That's right.
Which is the second floor at Proctors. It overlooks the arcade.
Yes.
Or it's next to the large bathrooms.
Yes,
Oh,
the
yeah.
bathrooms,
There's
that's right.
there are the stairs to the balcony, there are the bathrooms, and then there's
There's an elevator too.
Right, and there's an elevator. You have to get on the elevator in the arcade because that's a different building
I know.
than.
People get mixed up.
Right. But that's because these are an old set of buildings.
Yeah, 2 buildings.
And they were.
Story Circle. How long have you've been around a while, haven't you? Or, of course, I'm putting you on the spot as to when you
it's
started.
easy to remember because Janine Laverty gave I think a 4-day workshop up at Camp Sagamore when she was pregnant. And her daughter is about 2 years older than my son.
Oh, so you can
so
figure
I
that
can, that's how I can. So it's about 40 years.
Yeah.
Story Circle of the Capital District is a guild. We meet monthly at the Pine Hills branch of the Albany Public Library for people to share works in progress, and they can get as much or as little feedback as they want. Sometimes people are, what didn't, I had 2 women voices. Were you always sure who was speaking at any given time? Or they may just go, did it make sense? Did you think the ending fit with the beginning? There's all
So you
sorts
get
of
some
things.
feedback,
You
which
can
is
get-
good.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That.
Okay, you're going to tell us the story today?
Yes.
You always do.
Yes, I always.
And
because
it's
you
always
ask.
wonderful.
Thank you. But it's going to be different because usually I tell you I specialize in stories of real people
Real
who made a
people.
difference. This is a personal story.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I do have a life.
You do have a life, she does.
And I
And
think-
she made this beautiful top,
Oh,
too.
yes. This is, I've been knitting, my mother taught me to knit when I was 10, so I've
Yeah.
been knitting for over 60
Ever
years.
since, yeah.
So, the COVID pandemic, it was horrific, but there were a couple of things that came out of it. For instance, Zoom. Our son, we have one son, lives in Buffalo. And about 2 weeks into the pandemic, he called us up and said, you know how much I like to play board games? And we knew that. He said, well, we can play board games online. I didn't know that. BoardGamesArena.com. And now, still now, after COVID is over, we game with him 3 or 4 nights a week. Our 38-year-old son, we spend more time with him now, not quite as together, but so that's really a blessing. But another thing that happened to me that was a blessing is COVID made me walk the streets of my neighborhood for exercise. My only form of exercise prior to COVID was taking dance lessons at the Senior Center in Clifton Park, given by a former Rockette. This is really cool. I've done this for 20 years. But everything shut down in March of 2020. And I knew I would gain weight if I didn't exercise. So I started walking the streets of my neighborhood. I tried that before, but I found it too boring. But during COVID, number one, I could talk to people. We were 6, 7, 8 feet apart, but people were thrilled to talk to anybody. But I saw that spring, I saw my neighborhood come to life. I would see a bush, and I go, oh, look, there are little buds. And so every time I would pass it, I would go, how are we doing? And so the neighborhood came to life. I've lived there since 88, but walking the streets brought it to life to me. And almost exactly 3 years ago, something happened. I was walking in my neighborhood and I walked into a shower. Now, it wasn't a rain shower. It wasn't a snow shower. It wasn't a neighbor's sprinkler system gone crazy. It was a leaf shower. I was at the corner of my street. There are 5 tall maple trees on a slight rise. And their leaves were coming down, and there was a breeze. Now, up until this point, I really hadn't ever paid attention to leaves falling down. And if you would ask me, what does that look like? I would go, they fall down. And yes, pretty much if there's no breeze, that's what they do. Or depending on the shape of the leaf, they might do a little turning. But with a breeze, the leaves start dancing. There were the graceful back and forth rocking leaves. And then there were a lot of spinners, tight spinners. And then more slow spinners. And then the laid-back spinners, just like in figure skating, they'll bend back and then spin around. Well, the leaves do that too, and oh, so gracefully do they come down. But every once in a while, the breeze got frisky and whew, there was like a jet going by, a little bitty leaf jet. I just marveled at that, and I I hadn't started photographing my neighborhood at that point, but if I had, I would have whipped out my phone and taken a video of these things. So that leaf shower, I remember that. And you know, every morning when I wake up now, I look outside at the leaves of my trees, and I look to see if there's a breeze. And if there is, I'm going to be out really quick and with my camera and looking for another leaf shower, a gift of COVID.
I love that, the leaf shower. That is amazing because I have a backyard and I see the leaves coming down and I just enjoy sitting there and watching them.
Yes.
And if there's like colors, the colors will change, you know. So that is, and I think what you brought up in that story, which I really like, which wasn't a perplexing problem at all.
Right, this doesn't go with, this goes with today.
Yes. What I found interesting is that I think every one of us found something through COVID. Something that a hobby that we had given up, or making, writing, or even sending emails, or doing something to be more creative and to engage with a world that was no longer with us.
Yes.
So yeah, I love your story.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I hope that you get a really good turnout for the event.
Yes.
You always seem to, and the Delac room is so nice
Yes.
because it's a nice intimate room.
Right.
To do that.
I have never had any ambitions to be on the main stage. Because with storytelling,
No,
you
you
want to
can't.
look into
Yeah,
people's
yeah.
faces. You want
Are
to
you reaching them?
Right, exactly. And once I was telling to third graders, and I said, and then there was the Depression.
They
And
didn't know what you were talking
I had a sea of confused faces, and then I was like, how do I explain the Depression to third graders? So to gain time, I said, do any of you know what the Depression was? And one little boy raised his hand. I said, yes. Isn't that when everyone was poor? I said, that's a very good definition. Thank you very much.
There you go. So
But-
somebody must have told them that at one time.
Right. So looking at people's faces, and then when they nod, you go. And sometimes I'll even say, "You know what I'm talking
Yeah, and
about."
everyone goes, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah, right. So
You're engaging, and
Right.
anytime you can engage your audience through eye contact or just acknowledgments is just, and I think it's important for the audience to do that to the speaker as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of my teachers said, at the end, don't rush right off of the stage, because that's the audience's time to give their feedback to you. And if you rush off the stage, you're acting as if they didn't matter.
Yeah.
And you have to give them time to finish the connection you've established.
I think that's a lovely way of looking at it. Yeah, great. I hope you have a great turnout.
Thank
and I know
you.
they can get their tickets online or at the door.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
Proctors, wonderful Proctors handles that. Because we're on their calendar, our events automatically show up in like the Times Union entertainment
Yeah.
calendar.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything.
do anything.
Thank you, Proctors, thank you,
Thank you.
Proctors.
Yeah, you are your story circle at Proctor.
We are the resident storytelling.
And we'll have
company.
you on again to talk about Tellebration.
You bet.
Thank you so much, Kate Dudding, for being here and bringing your lovely note.
Thank you very
So
much.
pretty, yeah, good. We're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about Uganda. Uganda is an African nation, and we're going to find out about who the street children are. They aren't what you think they are. So let's talk to Diane Reiner. She's the founder of it. And we have the president of the board, Connie. It's always good to see you on the show, too. So tell us a little bit about your project.
Well, Jajja's Kids, excuse me, has been a life-changing experience for the children that we're dealing with, and also for everybody that's been involved. Jajja's Kids began when I went to Uganda in 2006.
You're going to be going again.
We're going again. We just got tickets last night. Connie and I are going. We haven't been there in almost 5 years, which is kind of heartbreaking. Thank you, COVID, for that happening. Yeah, we're excited to go again. We're very excited. So what we have is a program. We have 20 children that when they first got involved, the program really started 10 years ago with a home. And when we opened the home and brought kids in, these were children that had been living on the street. They may have had a family or not. And if they had a family, the family couldn't feed them steadily. They weren't going to school because there wasn't enough money. There's no free education in Uganda, basically.
There's no free education?
There's no free education. There's government schools, and even
And they have to pay tuition, like?
government schools, you have to pay for all the supplies, you have to pay for your uniforms, you have to have some money.
Yeah, okay.
School fees, tests and stuff like that. There's all these different hidden costs. For our kids, they don't go to government schools, which are terrible. They go to good private schools, which are really the only thing to do there. And they're getting a good education. So we started 10 years ago opening the doors to a home. And the children that came in the door, we had started with 10 kids between the ages of 4 and 9. And so they were, little bitty kids. And they've grown, the program has grown.
We have 14 and 19 now.
Right. And we have older children too. So we have 20 children in the program now. One is actually out on his own. We've got 2 that just started university. We've got 3 that are in trade schools, 2-year trade programs.
They never would have gone to university otherwise.
They might still be living on the street, picking scraps up to sell to feed their families. We have a boy who was 7 at the time we brought him in, Aziz, and he was earning money for his family at the age of 7. So they came from incredible poverty, lack of just about anything else, self-sustaining. And now they've got a future life.
And probably no dreams.
Yeah.
Right.
It was day to day. How can I survive?
Survival.
And now, given that they've been in the home for as long as they have dreams. And hopefully we're able to assist them in meeting those dreams. We try to be very careful in terms of the choices that the kids do make, that it's something they can be successful at, rather than a child who maybe is not doing very well at school wants to be a doctor. That's not necessarily going to happen. So it's Ronnie works very hard with the kids.
And who is Ronnie?
Ronnie is the director of
He's been on
Uganda.
the show too when he was here.
Yeah, he's been here
And
a couple of times.
he started out on the street from age 6 to 16, so he spent 10 years on the street. And his whole life is dedicated to giving back and to working with these
He sees
children.
the importance of what's going on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he works very hard with the kids to try and help find out who they are for themselves, as well as what they can do.
Well, they have to transition from being street kids to realizing that now they don't have to worry about their clothing or eating or anything.
Right.
Then they can start with what Maslow talks about is self-actualization. They
Right.
can finally get to that point.
He helps them to understand that they have value, because the street children, they're treated so poorly. They're the scum
Well,
of the
they're trash.
earth. They're trash. They're treated like trash, whether they have a good soul inside or not.
It doesn't make any difference.
It
That's
doesn't.
how they're being
Right.
perceived. By the
Right.
other-
So he's been working with them all these years, and still we have children that are higher teen level, and they're still traumatized by the father that left them. Ronnie is constantly working with that.
Yeah. Now you brought photos, so let's, Raymond, I don't know if you can bring up the first one, and we'll kind of work through these because they may not be in the exact order, but at least you can tell us what we're looking at there. And we'll hold those up there, Raymond, until
Okay.
next one.
Okay, so what you're seeing there is 5 years ago, we bought property to build a new house because the little house we were renting was too small and the kids got bigger and
So you didn't buy an existing house, you bought land.
we
Well, the house that you see in the upper right
Yeah.
is the bare bones of
Oh, the bare bones, okay.
what we bought. Half of the house was finished fairly well. The other half was made very poorly and basically needed to be taken apart
Oh, wow.
and rebuilt, which we didn't realize at the time when we bought the property. Ronnie acted as the general contractor and took on a whole new learning level.
Yeah, I guess so.
And the kids helped with the construction.
Which was good.
And
Sweat
on
equity.
Yeah.
weekends
And they really wanted to.
And they were learning too at the same time.
Right.
Yep, they were learning building skills and, they have a piece of the home now in their hearts too.
Yeah.
So,
And there is a,
oh, no.
Wait, we stay on there, please.
there will be a picture later of the
Yeah,
of the
we're
house when
gonna-
it's completed. On the left, yes, left, is John, one of the children, is in an agricultural program. And on the bottom right is land that we purchased with the idea to help them be self-sustaining.
So they grow their own food. is what
So
you're saying.
they do grow their own food.
Started
It's-
during the pandemic.
Okay.
Bought the land.
And John is working on his agricultural program using the land as his project.
As this project. Now, do they, I see you have the land there. Now, do they also sell any of that, or is that all for themselves?
The idea is that they will sell some of it. It's been hard to get a market, but the idea is that they will sell some and then keep the rest for
Yeah,
themselves.
I didn't know whether there was enough land to create more.
Well, they grew sweet potatoes the first year, and part of the problem was it was during COVID. And they weren't allowed to
Market it. Yeah.
get out of the village to market it
Yeah.
and to process it, so it was quite a learning experience
Let's
in
take a
that
look at the
first
next
year.
slide there.
So the lower left photo is what the house looks like now.
Okay.
And it was a godsend because during COVID, 2 of our children wound up coming back from school with COVID.
Oh, dear.
Very ill. And because the house was set up the way it was, they were easily able to be isolated from the
Isolated.
other children. In the other house that we had, everyone would have come down with it.
Yeah.
And it would have been a disaster.
So this was good.
This was very good.
It was a blessing.
So the other pictures there, the one above the house on the left, that's when we first started the program, Ronnie and I, before we had a house. This is taking place in an old church. And the church was where we had programs for the children, a little bit of education, lesson in English, lesson in math. And we realized that it was just a Band-Aid. They weren't getting a real education
Yeah.
by an hour of English every week. Then on the right is the house, the old house, the original house, when the children first started. So you see a bunch of little kids there. That's the group that we had to start with.
To start with. And the next one, please.
All right, and this one is the 3 children that are in agriculture, and, well, on the left is Juma, who's in a catering program now. They've all graduated from high school.
Okay.
And so they're in a 2-year program. Juma's in a catering program. Daphne in the middle is in a nursing program. And on the right are 2 kids that are at university, Sonia and Mark. Sonia is studying pre-law, and Mark is studying to be a civil engineer. And I love to tell
Is
this.
that amazing?
It's very amazing. Mark
And,
was.
and they'll give back to their communities, I would assume.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the way we look at it, you know, we look at the program and some might say, well, it's only 20 children, but those 20 children have the potential to affect their families and their community. And that's really the goal, is to have this ripple effect that goes out to the broader world, because we want and they want to give back to their society.
Well, and then once they earn enough money, they may set up another house. I mean, it's so.
Or
it
they may
will
take
work.
over Jajja's kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, they may do that.
Sonia, in blue on the right, she came into the program at a point when she was somewhat estranged from her family. Her father had a second family and had stopped paying her schooling. And she was, needless to say, very upset. And she hung out with Daphne at the house. She was not a member of the house. And when we were there, I took on supporting her to bring her into the program,
Oh, okay.
to give Daphne another girl in the program as well. And one of the most beautiful things to me was she graduated from high school this last year, and her father called up Ronnie, because he was here in the U.S. at the time, and was so grateful that she was
Even
the
though he had
first.
abandoned her.
Yeah,
Right.
she was the first in their family that had completed school and was going on. And to me, that is a real miracle, that this father had accepted her enough to come back to
the family.
Right.
And him too, so that's how the ripple effect
The ripple
can
effect,
be.
right. I guess one of my questions is, and thank you, Raymond, one of the questions that I have is, how did this come apart, Diane? I mean, how did this happen? I mean, it's not like, oh, let me see the Africa, oh God, throw a dart, oh, Uganda. I mean, tell me.
Not at all. Sometimes I wish it had been a different country than Uganda, because the government, the country is
Yeah.
challenging.
Oh, it's terrible,
You know, it's
yeah.
like, why did we do that? So what happened was, initially, I went to Uganda to do a photography workshop. And I wanted to, I needed an assignment. So I wanted to go into the slums and photograph the children. I had that sense.
Yeah.
And I was introduced to Ronnie, who, as Connie had said, lived on the streets for 10 years. And at the age of 20, when I met him, he was considered he was considered the chairman of the street kids. I mean, he had this leadership role. There's 10,000 kids
Well,
on the streets.
they needed somebody to
And
turn
they-
to.
yeah,
And
so
he was a good guy rather than a bad guy.
He was a good guy. He was a good guy. So he was assigned to me, and for a couple of days we hung out. He took me into the slums, because as a white woman with expensive equipment, I couldn't go there by myself. And he was wonderful. So I watched him going into the areas where I photographed kids, and he was being very careful. You know, somebody had a wound on his hand that wouldn't heal. So we went and got medicine for him, and I could just
So
see.
he was like,
He was dedicated.
benevolent leader.
He didn't have 2 shillings to himself, but he was really into helping what he could. So I decided to help him help the children. And that started it. And we did, like the church program that we showed before. We did things like that for a couple of years. And then we decided that was Band-Aiding the problem, and then we started the house. So.
yeah, it's really great what you've done. It's amazing, because I often wonder, well, how did you pick Uganda, or one of the other countries? I do want to say who's coming. Well, don't go, because I'm going to say who's coming up on our next show. I'm having the author, David Petruska, on, and he's written a book called Gangsterland, and I'm really anxious I have a copy of it, so I'm going to read that. Chinese Community Center will be joining us, the Schenectady Civic Players. Story Circle will be talking about Tellebration, and the Octavo Singers will be on again to talk about some of their material, and the Civil Rights Movement will be here as well. So that's all in November coming up. I want to say what you're doing is an amazing project. Not everybody would have gone down there to do photography and walked away with a mission. They would have gone in, taken pictures, and walked away. And I know Connie has done so much in Afghanistan with the I program and everything, and that's kind of fallen apart now because of the politics and everything. But what you have done there, you went in with photography and ended up doing so much there as well. So you are 2 fabulous women. I love you both.
The thing that is important to us at this point in the program is that because we are dedicated to getting these 20 children through a program and into their life.
Right.
Our expenses have increased
About
twice as...
About 25% right now.
Yeah.
And as they go on, we're committed to higher education to the extent that
And
they
you're
are
looking for
able to.
donations if possible.
We are looking for donations. We really Ronnie has a phrase which I've always loved: new level, new devil, new challenges. And
Oh,
we
I
are
like
at a
that.
new level with new financial challenges. So,
Good.
yeah.
Okay.
So
I think are we about out of time now? Okay, good. Well, thank you both for being here, and
Thank you
please,
for having us.
I wish you so much good fortune.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us.
That's okay.
Yeah, we needed to get that in at the end. So thank you. I was like,
No, that's good.
And I've got to run
And then, of
because
course,